What's going on with it? Y'all already know what it is and who it is. It's the masterpiece, mouthpiece, Sinful to P, speaking so fluently and eloquently in the spectacular vernacular called realism. One more again, and before I even begin, allow me to get some information just in case if somebody decides to have a conversation with me later on. You could just go to Instagram and put in SIN 2_FUL. That's SIN 2_FUL. And get into the DM and let me know that you come from YouTube. I want all my subscribers to actually follow me on Instagram, because before I go live on Facebook or before I go live on YouTube, I'm always letting everybody know that I'm about to go live first on Instagram. So definitely follow me there. I'm mostly there. Yeah, most of the time. I give more time to Instagram and Facebook anyway. Go to Facebook, put in SIN spacebar FUL spacebar GILMORE. That's SIN spacebar FUL spacebar GILMORE. Also, you can put in PHILLIP GILMORE. So you got my government name and you got my pavement name. 2 pages for Facebook, Sinful Gilmore and Philip Gilmore. Also on Snapchat. This is only for the ladies. You know, man, a lot of you fellas, man, you know what I mean, you keep saying that, you know, my bad, an accident. I know, like I keep saying, I know it's your bad because I keep saying this over and over. Snapchat is only for the ladies. If you are a guy, I am not going to accept you on Snapchat. This is only for the ladies. Ladies, if you look like the fellas, if you look like Leon Spinks, you know that you look like Sean Elliott, you know that you look like Stacey Augman, you know what I mean? Stay off my Snapchat. This is only for the attractive who have been attentive to my inspirational, motivational, you know what I mean, videos, man. These videos that I've been giving, uncommon information and inspiration in every conversation that I've been having in these videos with y'all. It's only for them ladies, you know what I mean? The Beyoncés, not the you don't says, you know what I mean? But yeah, just moving right along, getting right into it. You know, as you all know, you know what I mean? I'm not a pimp. You know what I mean? I'm not a pimp. I'm a square. My opinion has no dominion over how you see life or any lifestyle whatsoever. But by me having the blessed opportunity to be around respectable, reputable representatives, I have a very good perspective because of my observation of good, respectable, honorable representatives in the lifestyle of pimping and hoeing and other lifestyles as well, but mainly pimping and hoeing. And, you know, for years now, I've been hearing, you know, guys say things, you know, that logically it makes no sense, but at the same time, it sounds very fly. You know, so it might not be logical, it might not be meaningful, it might not be profound, but at the same time, it sounds good. So a lot of people will say things just because it sounds good, and because the feeble-minded, the absent-minded, you know what I mean, will just accept it. They will comply to it simply because they don't have the knowledge to reply to it. You know, they would just go with the flow type of people. They just accept it. But, you know, just letting you know, pimps are not born. You're not born a pimp. Nobody has been born to be a pimp. I know it sounds good, man. You know, I've been a pimp all my life. You know what I mean? You got to be born in it. And, you know, it sounds good, man. You know what I mean? And a lot of you, because of the commercialism and rap songs and things like that you heard, you think that, you know, pimps were born. But nobody was born a pimp. You know, you got to be actually born again, but I'm going to talk about that. But, you know, many times before I get to, you know, more into details what I'm saying, many times statements are made by people who have obtained popularity for whatever reason. You know, they might have a expensive car, or a car that people thought that was expensive, or maybe a house, you know, or maybe a chain or ring or something, or maybe the clothes that they wear, or maybe they were in your favorite documentary or rap video with a rapper. So, you know, because of the popularity that many have, they've said a lot of things that are not, you know, online with the truth. You know, it's not logical, it's not meaningful, you know, but at the same time, people it was acceptable simply because they were reputable, you know what I mean, in the game. You know what I mean? They might have been in American Pimp or Pimps Up, Hoes Down, or, you know, they might have been in Cross Country Pimping, you know what I mean? And because of these documentaries, because of these films, or because of a video people see, a lot of times people will allow people with popularity to say things that are the definition of insanity at times. But due to the fact of the name and the fame that this person has, people just accept it and they go with it. Well, I'm not one of those individuals. And hopefully, if you are a strong-minded person and if you are a leader, you're not going to comply to the folly as well. But I want you to know that, you know, whenever you allow someone to say something idiotic or something that is influenced off of jealousy or stupidity, and you don't correct that, or you pacify it, or you just don't say nothing at all, you are an enabler of bullshit. You're an enabler of false information. You're an enabler of a toxic, you know, that is to this game. And because false information, you know what I mean, such as that of just statements that make no sense, this is toxic. Why? Because there's so many people who have that are very impressionable. You know what I mean? They don't have the information. But because they see certain people on Instagram, Facebook, or maybe even in the streets, you know, driving a certain vehicle or wearing a certain type of attire, or, you know, maybe they was with, you know, a famous rapper, or maybe they was in this video or whatever, you know, or maybe they was on Keisha Got Jokes or False Alert, you know, whatever, you know, the reason may be. People are allowing people to say statements and they just, you know, nobody's calling anybody out on their bullshit. And because there's so many young people in the game, you know, this is dangerous, man, because we cannot allow the young people to listen to people who are ignorant pertaining to life and the lifestyle. Why? Because the younger generation coming up, they're going to just accept this, and we're going to have a whole population of idiots who actually think they know what they're talking about. In all actuality, they don't. So with that being said, you know, no, pimps are not born. And I know you've probably heard people who you see probably as giants or legends in the game, you know, tell you that pimps are born. But no, that is that's contrary to the truth. You know, you cannot be a pimp without game. You cannot pimp accordingly without game. What is game? Game is information, uncommon information pertaining to this lifestyle, pertaining to life, you know, knowledge. And I cannot conform to something if I'm not informed about what that something is. The information has to come first. As everybody knows, the famous passage, you know, in the Bible, you know, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Now, before you receive liberty, before you're liberated, you have to be educated first. You have to receive the knowledge. You have to receive the information. Because as long as you stay ignorant, you will be fraudulent. Why? Because you cannot manifest the real because you're not knowledgeable about what real is. So unless there's a deposit of game instilled in you, unless somebody makes a deposit of game within you, you cannot give a withdrawal of it. You cannot manifest it. Why? Because it has not been put in you. Period. Now, a lot of people say that, you know, I was just, you know, ever since I was a kid, I always been like this. Now, let me break that down. As you know, we receive 23 chromosomes from our mother, 23 chromosomes from your father. So there are some things that you are going to inherit, you know, from your mother, from your father, you know, the environment that you're raised in. This is going to play a big part of the individual that you're going to evolve into. But at the same time, you know, when you even in this environment, notice that, you know, people who basically get involved in gang banging, you know what I mean, that are even like they're born around that. In order to exemplify the behavior of a gangster, you would have to be around gangsters. You would have to make an observation of representation, you know what I mean, from different organizations, or, you know what I mean, in different gangs. You cannot exemplify the behavior of a gangster if you have not seen a gangster exemplify the behavior or teach the behavior to you. You can't. So, you know, when a person says that, you know, I was born a pimp, this is totally contrary to logical thinking, you know, because, you know, when you first get out the womb, you didn't sit up there and say, you know what I mean? Hey, man, you know what I mean? Say, man, hey, man, you know what I mean? I'm out this womb, man, you know what I mean? Hey, bitch, you know what I mean? Hey, I know you think that this is my umbilical cord, bitch, but this really my dick around this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, it's a fetus seat, man. Don't look too long, man. Hey, get a towel, man. Clean this blood around this bitch. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, mom? You know, man, let me check my tracks first before you get all huggy and rubby on me, man. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, this pimping, man, you know, coming out the womb, man, that's a fantasy. That is a fantasy. You were not born a pimp. You cannot pimp without the game. Nobody is born with the game. You had something within you, you know, like I said, inheriting 23 chromosomes from your mother and your father, you know what I mean? Certain characteristics, you know, that would make a good leader, that, you know what I mean, would develop into the type of individual that could participate in the game. But you cannot say that you in the game and you don't know the rules and regulations of the game. The knowledge of the rules and regulations have to come before you even can pimp accordingly. You have to pimp accordingly. Pimping accordingly is a necessity if you're going to be a pimp. How you going to pimp accordingly if you don't know the rules and regulations of the game that you're endeavoring to pimp in? So see, these statements make no sense. You know, we have to think. That's why Sugar Free in the New Testament, he had a song called Born Again. You know what I mean? Also, Paul spoke of a renewing of mind. You know, because a lot of you come from gang banging. A lot of you come from, you know, different hustles in the streets and things like that. And you know as well as I know, in order to pimp accordingly, there were certain things from the previous lifestyle, certain ways that you had from the previous lifestyle that had to be abolished so the truth of this game can be established within you. If you did not allow those certain ways that you have from the lifestyle of gang banging, whether you was a Crip, a Blood, a BD, GD, Blackstone, Vice Lord, MC, Folk on Hustle, whatever you profess to be, you had to give up. Those ways had to be eradicated so the truth of this game could be created in your mind, your heart, and in your spirit. You would have never been able to exemplify and glorify the truth of this lifestyle until the lies of other lifestyles was abolished first. The truth cannot be established until lies are abolished first. Those lies had to be abolished first. Some of you were taught that a man was, some of the guys that before they was a pimp, they was taught that a man was somebody who works 3 jobs and, you know, take care of his woman, you know, and rub her feet, and all type of false doctrines was taught to you. Some of you received false information from the false denomination that you were in. Some of you got knowledge from religiosity, you know, that was contrary to the truth of this game, or just the truth, irrefutable truth anyhow. And those lies that you were taught, because you believed it, you was exemplifying behavior that was contrary to the game simply because of the lies that you received. And you would have never been able to participate in this game correctly and represent this game professionally if you had not received this game mentally. Some of you are checking traps from women. You're presiding over women. You have materialistic things, you know, of a pimp, but you don't have the characteristics of a man. So by you not having the characteristics of a man yet, you're a male that's presiding over women, that's giving you money. But until you get these characteristics of a man, you cannot be a pimp. All right. Some of you have the materialistics of a king, but you don't have the character of a king. You don't have the characteristics of a king. Therefore, you are not a king. Example, Absalom, David's son. After David had died, because he loved Absalom, Absalom would have reigned in his father's stead. He would have presided over the kingdom. He would have had the materialistics of a king. But Absalom was disobedient to instructions. He hated reproof. He hated instructions. He that hated instructions is brutish. In other words, he's stupid. So even though he would have been presiding over the materialistics of a king, because he did not have the characteristics of a king, he would have still not been a king. He would have just been an individual that was presiding over things that a king has. And that's just like in the game of pimping. You have some who have women. They got a large following like King Solomon. They got Benzes. They got Phantoms. They got Maseratis. You know what I'm saying? They sitting over there really having money. You know what I mean? They're really checking their currency out of the pussy. But at the same time, we cannot negate. We cannot eradicate the fact of these necessities these prerequisites that must be fulfilled in order for you to say that you're a pimp. You got to do things that's vital to the title of a man in order to be a pimp. So with that being said, I want you young people to be very careful of who you listen to, because, the information, you're hearing so much information from so many representations in the game, to now that the information is convoluted and your spirit, your mind is polluted because you're listening, you eating at this table and you're eating at that table, you're trying to eat at Whole Foods, then you go to McDonald's, then you're eating ravioli over here, then you're eating top ramen over there. You know what I mean? You're eating from too many different tables. You know what I'm saying? And your mind is saying, this is logical, this is meaningful, that was profound, but this appears to look good. This appears to be what's right. But as the scripture said, there is a way that seemeth right unto a man. There are a lot of people that have the appearance, of somebody who's doing things accordingly. And let me tell you, a lot of you are going to be upset because a lot of people that you see way up here in the sky that's presiding over a lot of materialistic things, they did not pimp accordingly to obtain and maintain these materialistic things. A lot of these niggas got side hustles and they got dope boys under them and all type of shit. You know what I'm saying? And if a motherfucker ain't pimping accordingly to the rules and regulations of this game, you cannot you can't make him, just because he's driving a fucking Rolls Royce, you can't make him equivalent to a pimp that's pimping accordingly, that's driving a Cadillac that he got out of the bitch. Pimping accordingly, out of the bitch. He didn't mix it to fix it. He's not selling drugs. He don't got no sideway hustles. All he do is get it out the bitch. You can't make this man bigger and greater than this man. This man could have $1 million. It still wouldn't be equivalent to the dollar that this man checked out of the bitch. I'm teaching you the truth of this game. See, some people, because they have idolized, certain people, they idolize certain guys to they're mesmerized and they memorize all the lies that come from these guys, and then they convey these lies to you guys, and because you don't know the truth, you're not intelligent about the game, so you basically receive the false information from representation from the false guys that's talking as if basically they are the game. Simplicity. So with that being said, be careful, man, of who you listen to. Be careful of who you listen to. You can't listen to everybody. Because there's going to be some people that's going to tell you some things, and because of the car that they was riding in, or the chain that they had on, or the suit that they had on, or the smooth words, because they was able to put syllables together, it sounds smooth, it sounds good, and you bought it, and the moment that you sit up there, you believed the shit, and now when you ran into somebody who was educated or intelligent and knew what the fuck that they was talking about, now you in a debate, you verbally and mentally getting your ass whooped. And you not only embarrassing yourself, you're making the game look bad. And until you get this game, you are going to continue to embarrass yourself and make this game look bad. That's why it's imperative to listen to the informative representatives of the game. You got to be taught. People are being what? Destroyed for what? Lack of knowledge. People in the game are being destroyed for lack of game. Somebody had made a unwise statement. Well, a whole bunch of unwise statements. But you know, when the influence, when the inspiration for a person having a conversation, whether it be on a public platform or statuses and things like that, when the inspiration is jealousy, when the inspiration is hatred, you know, they're going to, even though the person might be a bright or intelligent individual, but by the inspiration being jealousy, they're going to say a lot of things that is contrary to knowledge and wisdom. And, you know, this particular individual was saying that if you wasn't presiding over certain materialistic things, or if you didn't have this amount of money, if you didn't have this type of attire, then you shouldn't listen to an individual. And I want to tell you, young people, that everybody that you learn from, some people you're going to learn from their wise words on what to do and what not to do. And some people you are going to learn from as far as them being a proverb on what not to do, period. You know what I mean? They're going to be the model for what you shouldn't do. So a wise man can learn from a fool, but a fool cannot learn from a wise man. Why? Because fools, they don't hearken unto knowledge. They don't sit up there, you understand me, and take heed to wisdom. Someone foolish might say, I'm not going to listen to this person. You're a crackhead. You telling me to stay off crack, but you're a crackhead. When a wise man would have wisdom enough to understand that, you know, this is the results of you being on crack. So if I'm looking at the results of you being on that, even though you're in that, I have sense enough to see the results of what you did, your present circumstance, and I don't want to be like that at all. Somebody might say something foolish such as pimps, don't catch pimp cases, or pimps don't go to jail or prison. I've heard some of the dumbest shit I've heard this week. And I want you to know that there is no man on earth that is perfect. All right. There is no man on earth that is perfect. So by it being no man on earth that is perfect, there is no pimp that is a man that is perfect. So there's no pimps in the game that's perfect. Those of you that are young, you're just starting off in this lifestyle of pimping and hoeing. If you do not have the correct knowledge on how to pimp accordingly, the probability of you being in a correctional facility is very high, simply because you are moving in ignorance. So it wasn't that you didn't have the capability to pimp accordingly. It's that you did not have the knowledge to pimp accordingly. If a person does not, everybody didn't have a father or uncle that was a pimp. Everybody didn't have a mentor coming into the game. Some people came through adversity, difficulty, and their mentor was experiences. Period. They didn't read no books. Me personally, I've never read no Iceberg Slim. I didn't read none of those books. I didn't have a mentor to say this and that and that and this and that and that and this and this and this. Everything that I speak from is basically, you understand me, from experiences and observation from authentic representations and different lifestyles. Period. But I wasn't born with the knowledge that I have. I wasn't born with this game. No. The reason why I have the information that I have is by the grace and mercies of the Most High, number one. And number two, by him blessing me with the comprehension that I have, I was able to observe those who are authentic and really in it. And that's how I gained the information, by looking at other representation and going through my own life experiences and experiences basically within the lifestyle. That's how, you know what I mean? But I wasn't born with the information. The information that I have now, the game that I have now. No, I wasn't born with that. Nobody is born. That's like saying somebody's born a man. You wasn't born a man. You know what I mean? That's something that you have to evolve into. You cannot become a man until you have the information on what a man is. we got a lot of 30 and 40 and 50-year-old males. And until they get the information and willing to apply the information, on what a man is, they will be a 40 and 50-year-old